Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry. Today we're talking about 4 principles for a great morning routine. Here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are, drowning in the details of their personal and professional lives to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. And creating a really great system for a morning routine is something that our community members have been asking about. And so I just thought I'd record this podcast to really just talk about the principles, because when I think about the perfect morning routine, it feels a little bit tricky to address this topic because there are so many different ways to make this happen. So if you go online, for example, and you search morning routine or the best morning routine or whatever, the results are pretty overwhelming. Now, this is partly because it really depends on your stage in life. Are you a parent of young children? Do you work full-time outside the home? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you retired? Do you have health issues? There's a lot that goes into our lives, and one morning routine isn't going to work for every single person in the world. But it also depends a lot on your personality and your values. For example, do you want to create a day that's full of energy and you want to accomplish a lot of things? Or do you prefer moving at a steady, slower pace and savoring the joy of each moment? Do you like to create a solid plan and then work that plan? Or would you prefer to have lots of open time and then pay attention to the needs that come up around you? Now, some morning routines that my friends have shared on their podcasts would really stress me out if I tried to implement them into my life. And it might work great for them, but for me, it's like, so much. For example, some of them are waking up before 4 a.m., they dive right into work, they work all day, sometimes they barely see their families, and then they go to bed feeling pretty exhausted, all ready to do it again. Now, obviously, if that works because of what they value, then that's totally up to them. But my goal today is to share just a few principles of a solid morning routine that I think will benefit the majority of us. Okay, so I have got 4 principles here I'm going to share, and then I would love your comments because I think of this as more of a conversation. You're going to help me learn what works for you, what doesn't work, what resources have been helpful for you, things like that. So come to the show notes page. All of our podcasts are at learndobecome.com/radio. So you can find any episode and leave a comment there. I actually do read all of them, so I love your comments. All right, principle number 1. An ideal morning routine works with your sleep schedule and the amount of sleep that you need. So if you have teenagers who are keeping you up until 11 p.m., and then if you're getting up at 5 for your morning routine, but your body really needs 8 hours of sleep and you don't always have time for a nap or rest later, that's just going to make you sick and depleted. So, for example, our typical schedule enables me to get to bed around 11, wake up about 6:30, and then I take a nap most days for like 30 to 60 minutes. So that works well for me right now at this stage of life. We're in the fall right now, so we have a school schedule going. During the summer, maybe we sleep in a little bit more, get a little more sleep. But I just want to make sure that you don't set up a morning routine like what I used to do, which was no matter what time I get to bed at night, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. and then I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to be super productive, because that maybe would last for like a day or two. And then I'm so tired, I just give up on the whole morning routine because I just couldn't keep up. So ideally, we want to make sure our morning routine is helping us be healthier, in a better mood, well rested, all that kind of stuff. All right, principle number 2. The ideal morning routine leaves us spiritually prepared for the day. There's a book called Master Your Mind that I really liked. And this book, in addition to several other books and resources that I've been exploring, they've taught me that in the morning and in the evening, those moments right before you wake up and right before you go to sleep, they have the most impact on your subconscious mind. And then our subconscious minds direct most of the decisions that we make during the day. So that's why it's so important in how we, program our minds, strengthen it, teach it, because our subconscious is what's, driving us for the most part. So if right when we wake up, we have a specific way to connect with our higher power. Maybe it's praying or meditating. It could be reading scriptures or some inspiring words. Maybe you're reviewing a vision board and or positive affirmations. And we're really preparing our spirits for the day ahead. It greatly impacts everything else we'll do. So that's something for pretty much since I was in high school. That's been what I've been doing with my mind every morning. Is I feel like it's my time to connect with God, with my higher power, and feel that sense of focus and love and support and clarity and strength. I mean, I can't say enough about that part of it because it means a lot, and it impacts me and it helps me a lot. All right, principle number 3. The ideal morning routine helps us create our day. So I actually have a resource at Learn, Do, Become. If you sign up for our free training, the one How to Finally Stop Drowning in Piles, that one's at learndobecome.com/step. After you take the training, you should get a resource called Create Your Day. All right. Now, I'm just going to share briefly what that looks like, and I'll explain how I do it. But taking time to do things like review our calendar for the day and any date-specific tasks, which ideally that calendar and those tasks should feel very simple and focused. I always talk about how your calendar, you want it to feel like an open canvas. You want the calendar to just feel like, oh my goodness, look at this amazing time I have today. We don't want it crammed in with a bunch of things we might want to do or we should do or we overschedule. Having more of that open feel to a calendar is probably one of the fastest ways to decrease your anxiety. So I'll just kind of add that in there. But if we can review that, then if we can spend a few minutes envisioning the kinds of experiences we want to have with our loved ones. I actually do this where I think, okay, when am I going to have time to spend with Eric? When will I have time with our children? Am I going to be talking with neighbors today or friends or our community at Learn, Do, Become? Maybe we're doing a live call. And I really think about our relationships and then how I'm going to strengthen those that day. Maybe I'm going to call my brother or sister. Maybe I'm going to call a friend. But having relationships be something I actually think about has a lot to do with the success I end up feeling, at the end of the day. Next, having some time to think about how we're going to nurture our bodies. So that includes, what am I going to eat today? What are some healthier habits I could put into place? How am I going to get that rest I need? Do I need to take a nap today? Do I need to go to bed a little bit earlier? Is there some exercise that I'm going to be doing? Can I make sure I get enough walks? Things like that. So thinking about our bodies and that physical replenishment, and then planning how we're going to use our energy for good that day is also really helpful. So I'll look at my projects and I'll look at my vision board and think about how can I actually, take some of these open pockets of time and then do things that are going to lead me towards where I want to be. So on days I notice when I don't create my day, it only takes maybe 5 minutes, but on the days I don't do it, I have a tendency to wander, and I'm more responsive to, oh, this person's going here. Okay, I'll go there. Kind of like floating along with the current rather than, directing yourself. So making that time for that mental, spiritual creation, it leaves me feeling really happy at the day because I had more intention as I went through my day. And sure, sometimes everything doesn't go as planned, or I'll have this great vision like, oh, we're all going to sit down and eat dinner together. And then nobody wants to sit down and eat dinner or whatever. But that creation, that intentionality, that does make a big difference. And then just the fourth final one I'm sharing for today is this ideal morning routine does prepare us physically for the day. And for me, this looks like drinking water, brushing my teeth, getting outside for a walk with Sunny. I have read that when you get exposure to sunlight and fresh air as early in the day as possible, that's actually really good for us. Having time to get some good exercise in. Right now we're doing Caroline Girvan's Iron series where we're lifting weights, and it's pretty hard. I will say it's very hard, but Eric and I are having fun doing that together. We have our morning green smoothie. I think I've put that recipe online quite a few times, but It's so good. It's like no sugar. This particular one doesn't have any fruit, but it tastes like a brownie batter. It's so good. Anyway, it's a protein smoothie. So Eric and I have one of those every morning, and that lasts me about, 4 to 5 hours. So then I can focus on work and things like that, and I'm not hungry. And then, we take a shower, get ready, get dressed in clothes. I try to get dressed in clothes I actually like and do basic hair and makeup. So I'm ready to receive visitors or maybe have a video call or go on errands, etc. There was a period of my life where I never got dressed and ready. I would just maybe take a shower, maybe not. But because I was home with our children, I'm like, just whatever. I just need to get moving. And I was just so tired. I never got ready. But I've learned, maybe this is random information, but I can blow dry my hair and put on makeup at the same time. And it takes 5 minutes. So I blow dry my hair, put on makeup. I have clothes. And this is another piece of information I don't know why I'm sharing, but pretty much every outfit I have is so I can take a nap in it. It's comfortable enough for a nap. So I bought this shirt that looked really cute online, and it was so uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take a nap in this. This is terrible. Or things get wrinkled really easily. Anyway, but I do a lot of professional meetings, or I'll do videos, or I have people over, and I'm, in our work, we are seen quite a bit, even though in the podcast you can't see me. I actually am dressed and ready right now while I'm recording. But I decided at one point in my life, you know what? I don't want to just be feeling like I'm just this, I don't know, disheveled, frumpy person who doesn't take care of herself. I didn't want to feel like that. So I decided I'm going to keep it basic, but I want to at least get ready every day and just get ready for the day. So anyway, that's the preparing physically for the day. And I usually have, a series for us right now with our exercise and our walks and, getting ready and all that stuff. And because we work from home, this is usually between 6:30 and let's say 9:15, 9:30. So I have a few hours where I'm doing my study, I'm doing the walks and the exercise and getting ready and really preparing for the day, planning. Sometimes I do a little bit of work during that time if there's some creative energy that I have that I want to put towards something. But then by 9:30, I am fully ready to give focused, several hours of focused time to the work that is most important. One other part of that physical preparation also includes our environment. And so I just want to share how I start my day as far as cleaning the house, what we do with routines, because I know a lot of you maybe are just curious. So I love to start my workday with a clean and tidy home. I think all of us just feel a little bit better when everything's put in its place. Or maybe it's a female thing more than a male thing. I'm not sure. But I know that when things are organized, I just feel more focused. And so because I have my command central in place, our house really is mostly decluttered. It was kind of like a project. We went a little bit at a time, and we have lots of resources on the site if you want to declutter your whole house in a month, or, make it a project, or do 3-box method. We have lots of links. So if you just search decluttering on the website, you'll find lots of help there. Okay. And then also we have routines in place that generally keep things clean. So it's not like I wake up to a home that's just full of piles of stuff. Back when I was growing up, that's how it was. I just woke up to piles, and I didn't even try. There was no even attempt to make everything organized because it was just too big of a project. But because the command central is built, the house has been decluttered, routines are in place, now it's fairly easy to do it. And so in the morning, I just make my bed right when I wake up. It's very simple. I enjoy making my bed. I think it takes 2 minutes, and then it just feels happy all day. And then I tidy up the house as I walk through it. So maybe there are some dishes that we washed the night before that need to be put away. There could be some items that need to go out to the recycle bin. Maybe the trash cans need to be brought back in, that kind of thing. Perhaps a counter needs to be wiped down, etc. And we also do a tidy session each night before bed. So really, there's not much that happens between the time we go to bed and the time we wake up. It's just a few things, kind of keeping things organized and clean, a few minutes here and there. One final thing I'll note about the morning routine is that we want it to be flexible enough that the routine doesn't get in the way of relationships. So if Spencer, for example, wants to come in with Sunny in the morning and he wants to chat or hang out or look at memes on Instagram, I'm not going to shoo him out of the room and say, I've got to get to my routine. Or if Eric and I have a lot going on and let's say we want to sleep in for a little bit, I'm not going to freak out and say, I have to get up and do my morning routine, even if I'm tired, and I'm going to go be successful whether we like it or not. I mean, there's definitely truth in the idea of mind over mattress, and having discipline and consistency is great. I just found that when I stress out over the morning checklist, I often forget how important my relationships are. So there's got to be a balance there. I just really want to emphasize this because, yes, I do generally exercise really well most days. I do have time every day to connect with my higher power. I do tidy the house. I do create my day generally. I do, have time to prepare and to feel spiritually and mentally and physically ready for the day. But sometimes it's delayed a bit, Sometimes it's not as awesome as I had imagined it. Or sometimes the awesomeness comes in place of something else that wasn't part of the routine. But it's that connecting to the people that we love. So I don't think of routines as this crazy checklist that's giving me, this structure that I hate. I think of it like I have this really great plan that I find when I follow consistently gives me really good results. And I adapt it to the needs of the day. Because sometimes if I'm really, really tired or I didn't sleep well, it doesn't make sense for me to just get up and start running my day. It would be a better idea for me to get a little more rest and then, jump into things later. And so I just feel like being too rigid is typically what makes people stop doing their routines because they think, oh, this doesn't work. It's fine. Take a day off and take a little break once in a while. Get the most important things done and be responsible and show up. But when we put our family first and we put our relationships first and we're really gentle on ourselves, then I feel thrilled when I talk about my morning routines. I'm like, I love my morning routine. And it doesn't stress me out, but it makes me really happy. Anyway, okay, I'll stop on that now. Now, the thing is, these kinds of things that I've just described, they work really well for me. And right now, I am an almost empty nest entrepreneur working from home, okay? But 10 years ago, my mornings were not as predictable. We were still entrepreneurs. I was still working from home, but we had 4 young children, ages 4 to 12 at the time. And my morning routine sometimes stretched until lunchtime. Like it would be lunchtime and I'd finally take a shower. Or sometimes it was later than that or whatever. But I still did these same things. And sometimes the workout was shorter or the time connecting with God was interrupted. And sometimes my daily preparations felt pretty haphazard. But I kept trying. And if you work full-time outside your home and then you need to get up super early to commute to work, then you might lean more towards audio recordings that strengthen your spirit. So then while you're getting ready in the morning, you can be listening to things, or while you're commuting, you can be listening. You might have exercise happen during your lunch break. I went to our chiropractor's office one time and the chiropractor's like, sorry, I'm kind of hot right now because I just got back from the gym. I go exercise during my lunch break. I'm like, good for you, figured out a way to make it work. And you might have to fit replenishment into some of those, 10-minute breaks throughout the day. My dad was an architect and he went to an office every day. And then every day at lunchtime or on a break, he would go out to his car in the parking lot and he'd lean the seat back. And when he was in the Army, he learned how to take a 9.5-minute nap on a 10-minute break. And he told us that all growing up. So we all kind of learned the power of cat naps. So that's what he did. We had a lot of children in our family and he was the sole provider and he got tired, and so he'd take these little naps during the day. So I think there's always a way to kind of make it work with your schedule, with your employment, with your family. And, it's going to look a little different for each one of us. But the idea is we ask, what can we do? And I don't think there's a wrong way to have a morning routine, but I was trying to identify what's one key question we could ask ourselves. And here's the question I came up with. Is my morning routine consistent with my values? And does it support me in creating my ideal life? So I'll say that one more time. Is my morning routine consistent with my values? And will it support me in creating my ideal life? So I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can come to the show notes page, share it in the comments. If you're thinking, okay, I want to get more organized, I want better routines in my life overall. I want to get rid of all the clutter. I want a calm mind. I want to know what I'm doing every day and have my projects organized and have all the support to be able to feel like I'm finally on top of things. I hope you'll check out our STEP program. If you just go to learndobecome.com/STEP program altogether, you can learn more about steps to everyday productivity. That's our signature program. We have tens of thousands of people who are members, and we would love to support you there. If you want to be part of a monthly membership, Eric and I run a Rise. We love it. It's a way that you can actually clear these friction points out of your life, have some accountability, join in with a community, focus on different topics each month, really have a lot of fun in there as you ask yourself, some of these maybe harder questions, but start to make these improvements because you have a community supporting you. So that's a lot of fun. And everything that we do here at Learn to Become, or all the general things, are on our Connect page. So that's learndobecome.com/connect. We're just happy to have you here. I love being able to be here on the podcast and be able to speak with you and hopefully encourage you. I know that life can feel hard, and I know there's a lot of stuff that goes on around us that is, discouraging or heartbreaking, or, things that are hard to understand, or things we can't control. But something like a morning routine, even if we can't control all of the circumstances of our lives, we can control our choices. So if we learn to create simple systems that help us to do what matters most, and then we use our power of choice to actually implement those systems and follow these plans and create new habits, it's amazing what ends up happening. All right, sending lots of love. We'll have everything that we shared here on the show notes page, and hope you're doing great. Okay, have an amazing week. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.